Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Alara Sews. Today we're going to be making this crescent mini skirt. This project is good for advanced beginners. It takes about 1 to 2 hours, and some of the techniques used include a curved seam, a faced invisible zipper, understitching, and a rolled hem. The materials needed for this project include 1 yard of light to medium weight fabric, an invisible zipper, a zipper foot, and a rolled hem foot. For this project, I used the 2mm foot, but you may need to use the 4 or 6mm foot depending on the thickness of your fabric. These are the steps for this project. First, we're going to draft our pattern and then cut these pattern pieces out on our fabric. Then we're going to sew together the curved seams and then attach the waistband facing and understitch this. And then we're going to sew together the skirt panels and install the side zipper. And then finally, we're going to do a rolled hem along the bottom of the skirt. Now we're going to create our pattern. First, we're going to measure our waist circumference, divide this by 2, and then add seam allowance. For this project, I used 5/8 inch. Our waist circumference measurement will be the top of the facing and the top of the skirt panel. Then we're going to measure our lower waist circumference. This is about 3 inches down from the previous waist measurement. And then we're going to measure our hip circumference. This should be the fullest point of the skirt. The length of the facing should be about 3 inches, and the length of the skirt panel should be about 10 inches. For the bottom portion of the skirt, we're going to use the crescent shape as a template and then add about a 1/2 inch seam allowance to the bottom skirt panel. I then extended the sides by about 6 inches, but you can make this longer or shorter depending on your preferred length. For the back lower panel, add an extra 1 to 2 inches of length. Today I'm going to be using this mint green crepe satin from Fabric Wholesale Direct. We're going to fold our fabric and place our pattern pieces on the fold, and then we're going to cut out our fabric once for the front and then again for the back. Once everything is cut out, it should look like this, where we have 2 lower panels, 2 upper panels, and 2 facings. Now we're going to clip together the curved seams. Since I'm using a slippery fabric, I'm going to do a really long straight stitch to machine baste it in place before I take it to the serger. And now I'm just serging that seam. We're going to take the panels over to the iron and press down the seam. Once it's ironed, the seam should look nice and pretty like this. I found this vintage spool in my collection and I thought it was kind of cool. And now we're going to top stitch the curved seam so it stays nice and flat. And this is how it should look. Now I'm going to serge what will be the raw edge of the waistband facing. So this will be the wider part. And then we sew the facing to the skirt panels. After that's sewn, we're going to bring it to the iron and iron the seam allowance towards the facing. Now we're going to use the technique called understitching, where we sew the seam allowance onto the facing. This ensures that the facing will be hidden when you're wearing it. Now our skirt panels are ready to be sewn together down one side. Now I'm going to serge the raw edges of the open side just because my fabric frays a lot. To install the zipper, we're going to line up the top edge to the top waistband seam and then just fold over that facing so it's good sides together. With the zipper foot, I'm just going to sew down the zipper as usual. Once you turn out that corner, it should look like this. Now I'm going to top stitch down the zipper. I forgot to record this, but once you finish with the zipper, you'll sew down the rest of that side seam. And now it's time to hem. I found it's easiest to fold over the hem once and then do a couple tacking stitches in place. And then lift the foot so you can kind of maneuver the fabric into the rolled hem curve. And then we can lower the presser foot down and then continue to hem. It's best to kind of finger fold the hem once over and then the sewing foot will do the rest. And this will produce a perfect tiny rolled hem. I ironed the entire skirt once more and then it was all done. And here's the final product worn. I think it came out really good, especially because I was a little concerned about the curved seam having like puckering, especially with this type of fabric, but it actually came out really smooth and I think it looks really cute. Thank you for watching and subscribe for more tutorials.